Hi, this is Julie. In this episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast, the co-owner, the regional director of sales and marketing and sales specialist with the Arbors and the Ivy Assisted Living based in the Northeast, joined me to share what they implemented and how they implemented change starting about 3.5 years ago that resulted in overall occupancy growth, retention of their sales and marketing team, and what they are looking at doing to continue improving and growing in 2025. Really enjoy these three women. I've known them for, Emily and Sondra now for 3.5 years professionally. Some of the nicest people in the business. If you don't know them, please listen all the way through. They're delightful and very knowledgeable, super down to earth, and enjoy.
We'd like to thank Advantage Anywhere for sponsoring this episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. At Advantage Anywhere, we understand senior living communities. Our customizable CRM and automation system is designed to help you convert more leads into move-ins faster, easier, and with less manual effort. With personalized follow-up automations, your team can focus on what matters most, spending time with prospects to get more move-ins. Visit www.advantageanywhere.com to see how we can help you get more move-ins with less stress.
Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. I'm Julie Podewitz, CEO and founder, and today I have the, ownership and sales and marketing team of the Arbors and the Ivy Assisted Living. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm so glad to have you on the show. We've known each other now for a long time.
Over 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in a good way, it feels like a long time.
Yes.
In a good way, right? It's like when you meet someone and you really click with them, then you feel like you've known them for a long time. Yeah, it's like that for me.
Us too. That's how we feel too. We always say, what would Julie say? Or what would Julie do?
That's a scary thought. So let's do a quick round robin of introductions since we've got three of you on the podcast. Emily, start with you.
Hi, I'm Emily Quinn. I am a co-owner and also the regional director of sales and marketing.
Awesome.
And happy to be here. Thanks for having us, Julie.
Of course. Sondra.
I'm very excited to be here. So my name is Sondra, and I have been with the Arbors and Ivy for just short of 23 years. So they are my second family, but I am Emily's partner with the regional sales and marketing, not the co-owner.
Perfect. You don't have to have all of that stress on you. You only have the regular stress of a regional sales and marketing, which is enough. Stephanie.
I'm Stephanie Zelazo. I'm the regional sales specialist for the Arbors. I've been here for about a year, coming up in March.
All right. Well, 23 years, all the way to a year. And Stephanie, you've worked in the business for other companies as well, right?
I have probably, 10 years now, maybe.
Okay. So you come to the show with a lot of knowledge, and you are oftentimes sitting in the seat, right? As a sales director, as a sales specialist. So you hear from prospects on a daily basis.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
All right. So we have to definitely get your perspective. So like I said, we met about 3.5 years ago, and I'm curious Emily and Sondra, what challenges were you facing at that time that kind of prompted you to reach out to me specifically for maybe some help?
Well, Sondra thought you were a celebrity, so
Still do.
She read your book and had tagged every page, every line. And I know you were just telling me, Sondra, through somebody, and that you were
Teddy
connected.
from Welcome Home.
Welcome Home.
He had given us a podcast to listen to, and it wasn't yours. It was like the 100 club or anyway. And
Uh-huh.
it was really good. And I went back to him and I was like, I'm such a nerd. Like, I need more. Do you have any more suggestions? And he says, about your book. And I was like, oh, I have that. I'm good. He goes, do you want me to introduce you? I'm like, yes. And then that day we ended up emailing and connecting. So
And I think that day or going for, I think we really wanted like your expertise on the coaching and like setting the standards or the benchmarks or like how to hold them accountable. I think that was more like where we were slippery a little bit. So I think that's how it originally, Sondra was super excited and she was like, I think we could learn a lot. Like, what do you think? And then it started. So yeah.
Well, I love that mindset though, and period of I want to learn something, and I know you all have it, and Sandra, you have it in
Oh yeah.
space, as they say. I love it because and it's a sign of somebody and an individual or an organization looking to improve, looking to do the growth opportunities, sharpen the saw, so to speak, fine tune, right? And sometimes it's an overhaul, but it's always for the purpose of, well, what more can I learn, or how can I
improve?
get better, enhance? To me, that's what life's all about, really. So I love all the tabs. I have so many books on my desk right now that have tabs in them and sticky notes. And
yeah.
so, I mean, I can relate. So you were, and I remember that first call, and we've worked together really ever since in various capacities. We've done more than like kind of those advice pieces around the coaching. So tell me what changes you made, or what did you implement that made the most impact or the quickest impact?
Well, I think the one that sticks in my mind is we went from being on a call, like our sales calls, and not doing hot lead reviews anymore. But bringing it down to like one thing to focus on at a time. Like there's 1,000 pieces to the puzzle. What's one thing that has the most impact that we can do? So I think definitely less is more. And that was very helpful. And then how you coach people, like you're making them think, you're making them look into it. They say something, let's dig in, let's look at it. So those are the couple things that pop into my head.
Yeah. I was going to say also like the cadence. So putting in the cadence, the day 1, day 3, day 5, that was something we never had done before. So I think having our sales team put that in right away was super helpful. I personally think that. Also, what else? The benchmarks.
The
putting in
conversions and the benchmarks, I
Yeah.
think it sounds like silly in a way, but looking at them and like just looking at these numbers, okay, where do I start? That is not something we knew or we did. But yeah, so those were really big just to find those and look at those and know where to start.
Yeah, well, it's important because there's a lot of data, right? And it is, where do I start? What's going to make most impact? The three of us went through the regional sales and marketing, the masterclass. I think that was one of the first things you did, and then you came to an in-person, or maybe you came to in-person first.
Yeah.
And that's when we had a few laughs at that one about hot lead review.
Oh God.
And
PTSD.
and not telling people what to do. Like, so Sondra, you were saying, instead of just saying, hey, how about this? How about this? How about this? Which is like the sales calls, or do this, or
Right.
have done this. It's
Yeah.
more of a narrowing, right? Which is so much more challenging than it sounds. Narrowing
It
the
is.
focus on in one area and then having a conversation about it, so that it ultimately is driven, meaning the session is driven not by you, but by the person you're coaching. Stephanie, you're nodding your head. You've been recipients of coaching sessions. What helps you most?
So I think getting an understanding and narrowing it down to kind of what that marketing director is thinking is really helpful, because I come from different backgrounds where I've been told what to do. I don't work well that way. I need to kind of work through it myself, and I need somebody to ask questions, and I need somebody to have, bounce conversations off of. So that has been, when in our coaching, the way that, we kind of go through it, that's how I've been coached, and that's how we're coaching the team. So, and you do see a different change when you can hear what they're thinking in their brain.
Mhm.
Totally, because, you know, there are certain times, well, there are times that there is a directive, right? Or there is an instruction, or there's oh, wait, no, we, you know, put a period at the end of our sentence, right? So there's some directives, but for the most part, coaching optimally it's two ways. It's a discussion. And in order to get buy-in for behavior change, the person has to, whomever it is needs to be part of that decision in a sense. And that, because if we're making our own decision or agreeing upon one, we're so much more apt to actually make a change.
Or solving it for them, right? So
Yes.
giving them the answer.
You get
We did
right.
that a lot. That was something that we
Jumping
would
to
do. You could do
solve,
this and you
yeah.
could do this and you could do this. And it's like, why they should kind of be
That was a
telling me
big
what they're gonna
change.
do.
Yeah,
That was a
jumping
big
to
change for
solve,
me.
jumping to solve. Yeah, the jumping to solve is like, we want to be helpful, and we know typically it's like if you're teaching somebody addition, like a child, how to add numbers. You know the answer of 2 + 2.
Yeah.
So to just tell them it's 4 is not going to help, right? You're helping them through, how do you figure out that it's 4? And
Yeah.
so if you're thinking about it that way, and Emily, you've got 2 young ones, this is perfect for you. As they're coming up and learning these things, you know, they use props and tools, and 2 here, 2 here, you put them together and you count them. You don't just do it for them. Have you ever had IT help where they grab the mouse? Or they grab the computer and they start doing it. That's not helpful, because I want to learn how to do it. Sometimes it's helpful if you just want to get it done. But
Yeah.
so what about longer lasting impact? So it's been 3.5 years. What has stuck?
I think what's popping in my head, one thing is practice. Like you said something in one of our trainings, you were training another marketing director and I was watching you do it to see, because that's how I learn. But you said, just like when you're born, or, you know, when you're a kid and you start speaking, you don't say please or thank you. You know, it's just, you got to keep practicing it, and it happens. It's the same thing with, you know, following up with steps or what questions to ask. You have to keep practicing so it rolls off your tongue smoothly, you know? So I think narrowing it down and then having them practice and practice. But one of the big overall things I was saying to and Stephanie, I know Stephanie's been with us for about a year, but knock on wood, we have a great team and we have had very little turnover.
Yeah.
So to keep digging and coaching and holding them accountable and knowing those are our people and we're going to keep working with them and training with them, we have, knock on wood, a solid team right now. And they've been here for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. You don't really see that.
Yeah.
Well, retention, right? And it's
retention.
worth spending the time and the investment, right? In the people that you want to stay, the Stephanies, right? In our business, where you want them to stay. So you're investing in them. And Stephanie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to say all really professional leaders, you know, people who are really invested in their profession, want coaching. They want opportunities to grow, opportunities to learn, opportunities for advancement, right? And so is not, not to make a disparage in any way, but what's the difference between like your experience here and maybe in a past experience? How different might those have experiences been?
I think primarily here at the Arbors and in environments that I've worked in the past, it's the balancing between that growth and investing in your employee, and then also balancing with being results driven. So I'm naturally a very results driven person. That's inherent in me, but that kind of top down pressure doesn't work well. So if you have somebody kind of coming in from the bottom up, offering you support, offering you tools, working through certain problems with you, it's going to, I work better in that environment. So the Arbors kind of comes from that place where they want to give you tools, they want to hear feedback, they want kind of that transparency, like, hey, I'm hitting a wall. Like I have this prospect. I know they need to move in. I don't know what to do with them. They're a bit of a mess. And then kind of being able to work through that as opposed to being told, well, just close them, just get the
Yeah.
deposit.
What do we need to do? What do we need to do?
Yeah. Let's give them, $500 off. And it's like,
Right.
that's not the problem. I promise that's not the problem.
Right. No, that's a really great point. That goes for that top down. We've got 10 outs. Now well, how are you going to fill them? We need, and first of all, you said that you're naturally an assertive go-getter, right? You're results oriented. And if you are listening to this, if you don't have a results oriented driver in the sales seat, that might be a challenge for you right off the bat. Right. So we've really got to put business minded, sales minded individuals who are looking at the numbers. I want someone to come to me to say, I'm 6 down right now. That no one has, look, we had a magic button, bing, here, push this to get 6. We would push it, but being aware of, that's, the goal would be that you wouldn't no one would need to tell. I would agree. So recently on a podcast, someone said to me, I want to get rid of the ED saying we have 8 outs and we have to cover our outs. And I was like, oh my gosh, how many times have I been guilty of that? And I think it's sales does need to cover outs. We do.
Right.
But if we had a huge number of outs this month, yes, we do need to. However, we are, if we're working at the cadence of 4 or 5, I'm just using this as an example, or let's say there's 11 out and we're working at a 6. Okay, all right, we're going to turn up the gas, but not with that kind of pressure. What are we going to do to cover 11 outs?
Yeah.
And
that's not helpful. Right.
No,
Is it putting pressure on them? That's not a helpful thing to say.
Well, we're not.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
There's already so much pressure, but it's a balance because then so
that's been a big part too, Jewel, is that we've incorporated the relationship with the ED and MDs now too. Is that what we've learned from you as MDs? And I think that's even our 2025 goal, is getting the rest of the department heads, the rest of the team on site to also, learn what we've learned and to share the knowledge that we've gained through working with you, and to show them that marketing is everything. And and it's that easy. So I don't understand. So no, it's just kind of getting them on board with us of like
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, you're running a business, right? So if you're opening a business, you open a hair salon, you have to have customers. You have to have people in the chairs to do the hair.
Right.
And I'm saying that because look at this gorgeous hair on this podcast. But you're not operating your salon without customers. So the owner is out doing outreach. Hi, Julie's hair salon here. And why do our EDs, so many EDs, not sales focused? Why is that?
I don't know.
We've actually used different language this year. Sarah has, been hitting real hard on it. But instead of, sales and occupancy, instead of sales and marketing, it's now occupancy focused. I think we had maybe an employee back in the day say, can I get an extra person to do all the marketing stuff? I think it was like a maintenance director or something. And it's like, no. So it's that mindset of everything.
We're all part of
to
it.
support occupancy. Yeah.
Right. Words matter. That's a great point. Yeah. Occupancy. And part of that is a big part of it's sales.
Yeah.
But really, my company is called Grow Your Occupancy, and that's absolutely what we want to do. But this is one part of it, sales and marketing, huge part of it. But operations, customer experience, dining, maintenance, activity or engagement, and billing, right? Everyone's get their bills, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So just going back to the executive director, what in your opinion is that the optimum ED doing, for example, that tells you that they are occupancy focused? What do you want them to do?
I don't know if this is answering that question, but when we're on a sales call, we always have the EDs on them. So the EDs and marketing director are on them. And sometimes when I hear a marketing director talking about a certain, lead or prospect or whatever, you can see the ED kind of nodding, like they know exactly the story. Like they know who they're working with. They know these names. Also, when we're talking about, they were working on the experience too of like when a move-in comes in for that day. Like that's the team's move-in. Marketing, is sort of on to the next person they can help. And the ED is supposed to take their team and make that experience really, really good for that first day of that resident moving in. And then we're also really focused with the EDs working on resident retention, closing the back door, helping to retain them.
What challenges do you continue to face? It's now February 2025. None.
Yeah, right.
We got it all figured out, Julie. We got it all figured out.
Yeah, we have none. We're
I
good.
think just, I always say this, Em's probably heard me say it 50 million times, but I was with this company for 12 or 13 years before I was promoted to an executive director. And I thought I had to know everything. And I'm still learning so much every day. So these executive directors, they have to be very familiar with every single department. And if they're not familiar with marketing, there's so much to sales and marketing. How can they manage and how can they support occupancy? So we're really working this year on having Emily and I work even more and more onboarding with the new EDs. So
we really want the EDs and the MDs to be like a married couple. They're just whatever one knows, the other knows. They're just kind of in sync with each other. And we really want that to move forward. So honestly, it's really working with the regional executive director team to make sure that their onboarding is, up to par with what we expect them to know, just as our standard. So it's, working, it is a work in progress. I think there's always room to grow and improve, but that is definitely our focus, I'd say, is kind of building that ED-MD relationship for sure.
From boots on the ground, Stephanie, you're in multiple communities at various points of time now. What do you see, like what behavior or from an executive director standpoint is supportive of what you're doing? What's most helpful?
I've found that the best EDs kind of clear the path for marketing. So we are hit with not only barriers from our family that we're working with, telling us why they can't move mom or dad, but we're also put up barriers from our team. So somebody who maybe is a little more complicated or a little bit of a tougher move-in or might be a little uncomfortable for the team, or something new, something we haven't done before. I think the best EDs really support marketing. We come forward with a good plan, a unified front, and really clear that path so that move-in can come in. I think having worked with some EDs in the past who really focused operationally and cared a lot, and maybe cared isn't the right word, but really focused a lot on what was going to happen in the building versus how to support the new family that coming in, it just didn't work really well.
So like the clearing the way, meaning and any barriers for a successful move-in experience. Can you give an example? Like what would they need to clear?
So most recently we had a situation with something as simple as a colostomy bag. It was something the staff wasn't trained on. They haven't done one. It was something the nurse was going to have to train. So it took a lot of support from the executive director and the resident care director to get everyone to feel comfortable about accepting this resident with this new thing that we aren't used to, that some of the staff might have been uncomfortable with. It's not a fun thing to have, but had they just kind of showed up in the building, the team would have been very resentful towards marketing. They would have been like, they're bringing in all these people with all this stuff that we don't know how to do, as opposed to it being, well, we're going to provide you training. We're going to show you how to do this. This new resident is coming, really getting them prepared and supported to take it on. I think is a big difference.
It's a really, really good point. It's really, the question is that asking like asking oneself, like, how can we make something happen? Like,
Mhm.
how could we
Mhm.
say yes
Mhm.
versus just having that mentality of what else, or,
Mhm.
you know, where else do I need to grow? Or how can I say yes here? Sometimes you can't, but if you ask yourself those questions, or, help me, you know, the mind works in a different way, I think. And it sounds like that's a more of a yes mentality, and clearing the way for a greater opportunity for a move in, and then to say yes to the move in, but then also preparing the team for a successful experience for that,
Mhm.
yeah, for that resident. And we know that, I just again, everything ties together.
Mhm.
It's just, I was talking to someone who does surveys very regularly, and they get the greatest response for resident survey at 30 days. And maybe people are just, they're like maybe almost waiting for like a satisfaction survey, and they get the, number one, they get the greatest response, and they also get the highest rating after, and they're really focused obviously through, but they're really focused on that initial, you know, that the move-in experience and that initial, so that they, you know, retention, that they
Mhm.
retain their residents. And then doing the survey at that time is going to
Yeah.
help to get the positive feedbacks to then promote that, you know,
Yeah.
it's a win-win-win all the way. Yeah,
That's great. 30 days.
awesome.
Noted.
You know, oh, go
Yeah.
ahead. Oh, I thought you were gonna say something. So you know what I didn't do though, as I said, the Arbors and the Ivy Senior Living. Tell us just a little bit about your company.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know.
I'll let you do
You
that.
know what? I didn't even ask. Normally I say, hey, tell us about, because there's several different arbors. We're in, you know,
Yeah.
different arbor, the name is, you know, they're
Yeah.
common. Yeah.
We're family owned and operated. We are in Western Mass and parts of Connecticut. We have been around for 25 years in the senior living industry. Sondra, a lot of people have, most of our team has been with us almost the whole time. I mean, she's
That's
close.
cool.
Some of them have been.
Yeah, we just had two that celebrated their
Yeah,
25 years last year and
25
the year
years.
before.
So,
That's fantastic. So you obviously have a great culture. People don't stick around.
yeah.
The culture, if they're not happy, that's for sure. And sales, well, in all positions, but in the sales and marketing position, you know, it's less than a year. And
Wow.
boy, the momentum that's lost in that turnover
Mhm.
is
Oh,
immeasurable. We try to measure it, and it's almost immeasurable.
yeah,
Yeah, it's not fun.
Huge.
it
Yeah,
is. It's
yeah,
so much work. So much work.
it is.
And
It's
then to just
more
have to
about
redo it
how
again
to
and again
redo
and
it and
again. And
start over. And it's tough enough to get the wheel going, but then
Mhm.
to
it is.
stop and then try to go again, stop and try to go again.
Yeah.
Definitely. And one last thing, speaking of getting the wheel going, I know outreach has been a focus.
Mm.
You all, is that continuing to be the case?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we have Stephanie, who's our sales specialist, and then we have Amanda, who's our marketing specialist. So she focuses on the outreach ideas and some of the training and the marketing plan. And this year we kind of zhuzhed it up a little bit. And now we have our marketing plan that we're for those sites that do outreach every week. Some do them every other week for however long, but it's listed, and it's so much easier to know what they're doing, know where to look, hold them accountable to it, get excited about it. So between that and the events, that is our 2025 focus.
Mhm.
A great focus. Thank you all so much for spending some of your day with me today. I so appreciate it. It's about time.
I know.
I think
We've been talking about it for so long.
No,
we have been
thank you.
talking about it for so long. And now, Sondra, you're going to need to sign your book. I'm going to be the first one to buy it, by the way. I
I
am
did
your
start writing a book. I don't know what the heck it's going to be called or anything, but someday.
It's a labor of love. Oh, the third edition of Solving the Occupancy Puzzle is coming out. It's good. It's almost resolving. It's going to be a majorly overhauled edition. So I'm going to make sure that you guys get the first copies of that. Yeah,
Yay.
I'm very excited about that. Thank you all for listening to this episode all the way through the end, I hope, of this episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. If you'd like to learn more about Grow Your Occupancy and what we do. You can find us on our website, growyouroccupancy.com. If you like hearing from experts like Emily, Sondra, and Stephanie, like, subscribe. A rating also helps others find us in those algorithms. If people want to reach out to you, what's the best way to do it?
They can go right on our website, to arborsassistedliving.com, and then the Ivy's there as well. And then you can just hit our team, and then you'll see all of our cute little pictures there. And then click right to our email.
That's perfect. Thank you all again, and thank you all for listening to the Grow Your Occupancy podcast.
Thanks, Julie.
Thanks, Julie.
Thank you.
We'd like to thank Advantage Anywhere for sponsoring this episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. At Advantage Anywhere, we understand senior living communities. Our customizable CRM and automation system is designed to help you convert more leads into move-ins faster, easier, and with less manual effort. With personalized follow-up automations, your team can focus on what matters most, spending time with prospects to get more move-ins. Visit www.advantageanywhere.com to see how we can help you get more move-ins with less stress.